Okay, he's just like, yeah, okay, leave it alone.
Be
I
nice
lied.
to the
Yes.
producer. Yes. Hi, this is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and podcast #1 Internet Singles Talk Network. This is Let's Talk About Dating with Christine and Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine. We're back.
We're so happy that it's not so hot anymore because we're a bunch of California wusses.
Just a touch.
Uh-huh. I know. People in the East Coast are going, you have no idea. Like, oh, we're not used to this. We like moderate temperatures.
Indeed.
It was like being in the Bahamas. I was like waiting for Ramon to bring me my umbrella drink or something because it was so hot and humid.
Yeah, he never showed up.
I know, never. It was a
No.
bummer. So today on Let's Talk About Dating, the question is, you've met the one. Now what's the rush? Not like any of us have ever done that, but we certainly have read about it and seen it in movies. Because
Yeah.
that's really the truth. Because I've said, a number of times on this podcast that people frequently say, I really want to be in a relationship. And just as emphatically, I really don't want to date. So I think that's what happens. They go, yay, I met the one. Now I can jump in with both feet and picture the future for the next, 37 years. And really, really, there might be a couple little steps that need to happen before that.
Right. For a start, I mean, there's a couple of pieces I want to parenthetically cover this with, which is one is that, yes, as you were saying, like, don't rush in both feet because you want to make sure you did really find the one, or do you think you find the one? So you got to verify first. The second part as well is oftentimes it takes a while to discover if that is really the one. Because you may go when you love at first sight sort of thing, which is kind of oftentimes a fake thing. So it's wise to look at the excitement as being, say, a preview of what's possible, rather than saying this is what's happening. And the other part of that, which is still coming up as well, is that are you sure the other person thinks you're the one as well?
Oh, such an
So we're not,
important question.
yeah. So we're not going to do about this. This is more than one thread. We'll be teasing this apart. But the thing about it for me, that this concept of finding the one is, especially if you're in a place where you, as you were saying, don't want to date and you're already just desperate for that feeling, which is dangerous at work. Desperation is a bad choice. But when you're desperate to find the one, and you find someone that fits vaguely that square peg round hole thing that'll do just for now, and you try to force that one to be the one, maybe it's a good time to step back, because you might want to look at things and say, maybe this isn't what I thought it was. I know it sounds scary to put it that way, but that's the thing about rushing in. Many clients, many friends, and I know people too who have basically looked at their relationships and said, if they'd known now what they knew then, they knew then what they knew now, they would never rush into that relationship. They would have checked it out and got really clear before they got really involved, because they realized they'd married the wrong person, or they got involved with the wrong person, or they had a child with the wrong person, or whatever that was, because they didn't take time to get to know that person first. So definitely take your time. So that's my first caveat, warning, indication.
Oh,
More to come.
so true. And how long time is certainly could be different for everybody. I mean, I would never say everybody should take the same amount of time as I do.
Right.
What I would say was, here's the boxes that need to get checked. I love that I know that you apologize for using the word desperate, but we know that people get into relationships too soon with ultimately they figure out the wrong person because they're feeling lonely and desperate. And that is a recipe for failure. Because even if it is truly a really healthy, good person, if you're not feeling healthy, you could sabotage it, you could send them away, you could not recognize, you'll start finding fault with their good things about them. So, this is all back to the same thing of, have you done your own work, and are you in a healthy, good place that you're ready to be a good partner? So that then when you are, you would then have a better chance of choosing a good partner and knowing what the criteria is for you to be a good partner and for them to be a good partner. And it's not just, oh, we like the same food and we like the same kind of movies. There's so many things that I'm fascinated that people don't talk about before they say, oh, we're now in a relationship, that are essential to even the foundational beginning of a relationship.
Yeah. It's, I mean, I'm smirking a bit because I'm sort of in that process right now. 'Cause I've met somebody who thinks could be amazing, but I'm also being very, I want to say cautious is the wrong word, but very, very, very patient. That's a better word. Just because the thing is, first of all, yes, I don't want to F it up, but also I don't want to make assumptions. I'm enjoying my time with her and she's enjoying time with me as far as I know. And, we've been out twice and we had a coffee date before that. And we're still, when we're talking and building things together, but she's got a busy life and I have a busy life. So again, because I'm using the word desperate intentionally. That's why I wasn't apologizing for it so much. Is any sense of desperation or a neediness or wanting to have something happen is a misdirect, because there's an implication that something wrong or something missing. And we have talked about this many times, and I talk about it a lot, about that sense of being incomplete. When the other person shows up, they'll complete me. That's where desperation really comes from. It's a sense of not being whole and complete. So anytime it shows up, it's like I'm to be totally transparent, putting my energy back into myself to take the time to be with me and sort of check for any it's like being a plumber. Check for any loose fittings.
I love that.
But it's that sense of like checking where I might have leaks of energy, so to speak, where I'm not putting myself back together with myself, so that whatever she wants, whatever she's doing, doesn't sway where I feel about myself. Even if we do get into committed long-term relationship, I need to keep that going anyway, because that's part of my self-respect and my own boundaries that I've got to set up. That makes for a healthy relationship. So this is training wheels in a way, or the training time to really make sure that I'm in the right place, independent of what she chooses or not chooses. So yeah, it's a fun time to play, but also it's a good reminder. So this topic is right on point for me right now.
I could tell, and thanks for your transparency.
Absolutely.
And it's the two things you've brought up that I really want to emphasize are, don't not have the fun. Don't not have the excitement, because that's part of the challenge. Well, should I not get excited?
Yeah.
Should I not think this could be fun? No, please think that. That'll bring wonderful energy. Just keep track of what's working, what you still need to have conversations about. Because the other point that you've brought up is you both have really busy schedules.
Mm-hmm.
So to get really clear with yourself about, well, how much time do I have to devote, and how much time do I want somebody to devote to me? To get really clear about that, and then have a conversation about, well, this is what I'm thinking. What are you thinking? And is this like, what's the kind of pattern of your life? As you have busier times or not as busy times? Or is it going to be like this always? Because people are very surprised that they're like, oh, I want more time. I thought they'd make more time. Well, how was their life before? It was just like this.
Right.
As much as you like them, that doesn't mean they're going to have the same amount of time available that you need and want. It just means you're not a match if it's not going to work out. Or it might be, as we just sometimes do, fill our life because we don't have somebody, and we can make adjustments, but you need to have that conversation for sure.
Absolutely.
Because if you're okay with seeing them once a week for a few hours or twice every other week, then okay, if you're a match. But not very many people have that requirement of so little time. Most people want, especially if you really like them, you want to spend more time with them.
Every day, possibly. Yeah, absolutely. The thing that I've preached this many times, and now, of course, I'm having to look at it in the mirror myself, is this level of understanding about having, what it's all about. It's like high involvement, low attachment. So to really enjoy, as you said, enjoy it, have fun with it, get excited, have pleasure in the experience of being in the dating experience, but don't be in the place of saying this must mean this then, because that's the challenge, that's the danger, that's the thing I know I can get into the habit of sometimes too, and I know people do. We had this experience, therefore this must mean that. It's like, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Happy to stay more present to herself and let that be enough in the experience, so you're out having fun and then you're back to yourself. Having fun and back to yourself. The thing came up also, because we was also before about attachment styles. This is easier when you have a secure attachment style. Very good. Actually, it's also easy if you have an avoidant attachment style too, because you don't really care. You'll be staying apart. But if you have an anxious attachment style, this is really hard work, because the anxious attachment style is always needing something and needing validation and needing connection and needing proof. And it's challenging if you just go out with somebody one time and they're not ready for that. They're going to be like, whoa, back off, back off. So for those people watching, if you haven't checked out your attachment style, I recommend doing the test just so you know what your style is. You may already know what it is pretty obviously by experience, but figure it out, because then you can navigate back to a place where you can be what's known as a secure attachment style, because it is changeable. So you can actually be in a place where you are comfortable in your skin. And so whatever happens out there is wonderful and fun, but doesn't take you out of yourself. That's the trap. That rush is oftentimes because we come out of ourselves into the what if that isn't necessarily healthy. So this dance of newness, this experience of excitement, is okay to be an experience of excitement without any adjustment or any definition defined, but that is defining for you. So it's being lighthearted that way.
And along with all of that, because you've made so many good points, that you're going to do some negotiating. It's what happens. You cannot lose yourself, your core, who you are. And that is really a problem when people move too quickly. They start turning themselves into a pretzel. They start really sacrificing. Or the big word that's used in the single world a lot is they start settling. And settling is normally used very negatively. So I'm going to use it as the negative word, that you're giving up too much of yourself. You're giving up too much of who you are. And that's not appropriate in the right relationship. If this is really the one, they don't want you to change drastically. They don't want you to be a different person. They will relish who you are with some minor adjustments that don't feel like you're changing your core person. So if you are feeling tempted to make too many changes because they've asked or because you've made up that they might want it, you need to have a conversation with them to find out, is this what you're expecting or is it not what you're expecting? And can you do this yourself or can you not do this? Because you get caught up in all the excitement and the chemistry. And then before you know it, you're like, who am I and what happened to me? And that's really the problem.
In fact, I would underscore that by saying not only having a conversation with them, but oftentimes it's good to have a conversation with yourself in the mirror. To actually have a come to Jesus meeting with yourself, so to speak.
Well, I love how you said, you go off and you get excited and then you come back to you. So when you come back to you, that's when you have this conscious, realistic, well, what is the fun part and what's the hard part and what do I still need to learn about them? My big thing is, they got to be a nice person. So I'm always at some point pretty new in the dating. I'll work out a way to ask about what kind of challenges come up with you at work or with your families. And what do you do about that? Tell me the kind of conversation you have, because I want to see what they do when they get upset. Because I expect people to get upset. I get upset. So what do you do about it? If you're a volatile person, that's not me. If you're a silent storm off and never talk about it again, that's not me either. So I want to know, do you need a little space? I'm happy to hear that. And when do you come back? What kind of conversations do you have with people? And what's the outcome been? Are you the kind of person that just writes people out of your life, or if they're valuable, do you work it out? And it's funny how I'm really pleased, because I've practiced this forever, that no one feels like I'm interrogating them. It's, do you like your mother? I mean, it's sort of, that's what I'm talking about, but I never ask it that way.
It's so funny because I'm going to be interviewed next week. I got invited to be interviewed next week, and the topic is about being a dating coach in the singles scene. So that's the question comes up, because both of us are in this field of work and we're both dating and single, and the challenge is that can bring to us, because people, and I was joking with my friend because she asked me to be on this podcast with her. I said, it's like, do you want me to list the number of people who are scared of me?
Yeah.
Run away from me?
They
Because the
think they're
number of
mind
people.
readers.
Well, that's the thing is on the dating apps. The first question they message me today, it's like, how come you're dating? How come you're on this app if you're a dating coach? Like they imply that I must be settled down and married and stuff. Like no, part of the journey. And one of the things I'm grateful for with the woman I'm currently exploring things with, I'll put it that way, rather than dating necessarily, is she's in a similar field in terms of the fact we have which is one reason I'm so grateful, because we have a conversation that's so much richer and much less therapy based. It's much more open to converse, which is some of the challenges. And so for anybody out dating, is finding somebody you have common ground with is a vital part of this conversation. Yes, your perfect one won't match everything about you, but at least if you have some common values, positions, and discussion points, you can actually have a conversation that's rich. Like you were saying about if someone's a nice person, being observant is a good thing to have, regardless of if we're a coach or not, because we are very observant. We're observing how people treat the weight stuff, how people, respond to kindness. Like one of the things that we went out on last Friday when it was raining, which is such a rarity in LA. So I think I had an umbrella. So walking, and I kept like switching sides because we're walking through Santa Monica, and just like as we're crossing the street, I'm like consciously intent, and this is not automatic. This is conscious. So very clearly, I'm doing it as the present moment. It's switching to the outside of her. So I'm walking on the street side of her while walking down the street, and using the umbrella to keep her as best I can, because only a little umbrella, keep her somewhat dry. And it was a bit of a dance at times, but it was also recognizing it's like that's the thing, is that's me doing my best to demonstrate my behavior. Not saying I'm trying to be perfect, but that's kind of what's in my work. And so the fact that she appreciated it and that she stayed close and that she also received it, that's the other part, was the receptivity. It was such a gift. And again, added value, confirmation, feeling of this is going somewhere nice, because we're building something nice together. So those little things we can watch for when we go at somebody and notice how they respond or how they treat things, how they receive us when we communicate something, do something, say something, whatever that is. It's a dance, ultimately, the way it works. And that's another part of this conversation, is before you rush in and go with already to the wedding bells, just double check this person does in fact meet you where you want to be met and plays with you the way you want to play.
That's such a good example. That's a really good visual, because you would certainly learn if she's the kind of woman that isn't receptive and we go, what are you doing? And why would you do that? And I'm okay on the outside,
Right.
and it wouldn't, I'm going to put words in your mouth. It might not make you stop seeing her, but it would make you go, I'm noting that. I'm paying attention to that. Because
Yes.
I pay attention to a man does walk on the outside, and I would be very pleased that he kept the umbrella as best as he could over my head. Because it's when you're a conscious dating person, which is what you and I are, the good news is you're really aware of everything that's going on. The bad news is you're really aware of everything that's going on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's funny because people say, well, how is it being a dating coach and dating? I go, it's different. It's very different, because I wasn't at all. Most of the time I was single between my marriages. I became much more aware, which is how I'm sure was one of the many reasons I met and married my late husband, because I'd become so much more conscious of what I wanted, what the other person was doing, rather than just writing people off because they did one thing, or staying with somebody because they did a couple of right things, where I was like, no, there needs to be more conscious thinking about, how do I feel when I'm with them? How do I feel about them? How do they seem to feel about the world? And I was like, oh, because feeling is so important to me. It became this big part of my list that I was just like, oh, they're really cute. And they asked me to dance. And, that's how you are. And at least I was when I was in my early 30s, and told everybody that's when I did puberty, because I didn't do puberty. I was married during the normal puberty time.
Right.
So staying really aware and alert, because I find you don't get on guard then. You just stay, oh, okay, that happened. Oh, that happened. So I can stay more in the flow of the excitement and the new energy, because I'm not going, oh, what was that? And oh, I didn't see that. And oh, it came out of the blue, where I
Yeah.
see everything, the good and the stuff I have to question, coming right in front of me. It's a really such a more calm way to date. I
Hmm.
like it.
That is the. I mean, to go up as we said earlier about the fact, that we are very aware of things, which is positive and negative. It's like
Yeah.
the good news is we're very aware of things. The bad news is we're very aware of things.
Yeah.
It is. It is a challenge that we can't sort of switch it off. Which is sometimes I wish I could,
Mhm.
and also I mean I've been single for a long time, and I've met beautiful women over that time. However, because I am aware of things, I often see behaviors I can tell by looking at them how they act, that no matter how beautiful they are, I can't spend time with them. just the way it is, because of my own need to take care of myself. The other part I speak to it because this came up with you talking. Having done this work for so long and having the relationship with myself that I have, I've gotten to the point, and this is the thing I hope people watching this get as well. The more you improve your own relationship with yourself in the mirror, and you have a healthy regard for who you are, and you enjoy your own company, when you meet somebody who may be the one, the rush to be with them is not as strong, because you don't need to be with them for your own happiness, because that's a trap. You want to be them for your happiness, that's great. Or you want to be them because you get happy when you're with them, that's great. But ideally, you get happy when you're own as well. And that understanding that happiness is not tied to them, it's something we have inside ourselves. That joy, the upliftment, the feelings of love and all those things are ideally not resonating. Well, yeah, resonating is one way of putting it, but also expanded because when they're around. But it's not
Yes.
missing because they're not there.
No.
Because that's the
Yes.
trap we fall into. So recognizing that we already have it inside of us, and when we meet somebody else, they bring something that amplifies that for us. Is a better word. They amplify what we already have, which
Mhm.
is a wonderful gift. But the good news is, if they're not there, we have it ourselves already.
Yes. And that we
And
do
so,
the same for them.
exactly.
Yeah, because my late husband had been married twice before, and all of his friends kept saying when he was alive and after he passed, it's the happiest they'd all ever seen him. And I
Right.
said, well, that's how I felt too. And it's just, you're already good. You already have this solid foundation of who you are and who you are and what's working for you. And you have lots of other things in your life that bring you fulfillment and happiness. And then, as you said, it's amplified, it's enhanced, it's increased. And that it's like you do that for each other. Your life
Right.
is better. It's
Yep.
really good already. It's better. I like being coupled. I think being coupled's wonderful. I heard the best saying last night. You're going to love this. I said, I have to tell Barry this. She said, I think sex is really good, but it's amazing when you're in love. I was like, yeah, yeah, I
Yep.
found
Absolutely.
that.
I agree.
I'm
Absolutely.
quoting that. That works for me. So in all the areas of my life, it was amazing how my enthusiasm for my work, my enthusiasm, which I'm a pretty enthusiastic person, but it just got more because he was so excited about what I was doing. And
Yeah.
so my biggest PR person, that it was even more catchy. But I was really, I mean, every day he'd say, wow, I love my job. And then he'd go, wow, you're so good at this. Like, oh, thanks. It makes me feel
Hmm.
so good that you say that. Because I'd certainly had a marriage before where his insecurity and mine just fed off each other, and he would put me down and I would buy it. So it was amazing to experience this in a marriage I had in dating, but I hadn't had a marriage yet, where I had this really supportive husband. And I know it's because I already had a foundation that I knew I was really good at what I was doing. And then
Yeah.
he recognized it and would just say it even more. And so I was good. It made it even better.
Yeah. That's the thing. Amplification in authentic, excuse me, authentic amplification of what you see in your partner as a gift you can give them, that is such a wonderful reward for them to have when it's done again. Authentic application, because the thing is, it's tempting sometimes to praise somebody up and make them feel good so you can get something from them.
Yeah.
When you're authentically just saying, I'm watching what you're doing, it's amazing what you're up to, I'm so proud of what you're up to, so grateful what you're doing, sort of thing. Those sort of values going to be so additive to your life that a partner can give you, that obviously you may not be able to give yourself as much because it's coming from an outside person. When they're doing it because they just want to give it to you, and there's, again, no hooks, no need something to get something back, no reciprocation required. That's truly what a great relationship can be like, because you're uplifting each other because you can and because you want to, not because you want anything back from them, which is awesome.
No strings.
Mm-hmm.
No strings attached to what they're saying. They're saying it because they genuinely feel it. They're glad it makes you happy. I was glad to say things that made him happy, but I did it for no other reason that I knew it would make him happy. And I
Right.
truly felt what I was saying. Yeah. So being authentic with yourself about what do you need and want, and then authentic with the other person. And I think the more, what I found for me and that I find for my clients as we coach for a while, the more grounded they're feeling in themselves about, I know what I'm doing and I know it, they're able to have these what feel like hard, challenging conversations that too often, if you're just going to rush in, you're going to bypass, all those things that could turn out to be hard, not insurmountable, but they still need a conversation about, how do you handle holidays and traveling and family time? I mean, there's so many conversations to be had outside of the bedroom, because I don't care how great the sex is. It really is better if you fall in love.
Absolutely.
To have that really heart-centered, I love myself and I want to make sure this is the best relationship for me conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, to get back to what your friend was saying, it's like, for me, that term, it is called making love for me. Sex is the mechanics, but making love is the experience.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I agree with what your friend said. That was so on point. And again, being in a place where you can be in the overflow of yourself, so you're not, again, doing something to get or not needing something from the other person, but you can be able to give generously to the other person's spirit, to their well-being, to their feeling of fulfillment, because you have enough to give over and above what you already have yourself, and then they do it for you. This is elevated relationship. This is conscious relationship. This is what we talk about all the time, and what we both are focusing on.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
then if you've started out in a really good place on your own, and now it's even better when you're with them, when hard things happen, you don't generally, most of the time, you don't
Generally,
sink
yes.
down into the basement. You can go back to your more neutral place and have a conversation with them about it, or with yourself, if it's something you're making up on your own.
Right.
And one of the things we haven't said yet, and you and I will say it more than once in this conversation, I'm sure, is when you're trying to have this conversation with yourself, if it's not going smoothly, talk with somebody else. Because
Yes.
we have other people that we talk to. We
Oh
don't
yeah.
do it all by ourselves in our mirror. We're not immune to that. I mean, it's for everybody that it's, because I tell people, well, it's different because it's me. I mean, I'm really honest about that. When I'm in the middle of a dating situation, I need some feedback from people I know and trust.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I get help. I mean, I was Tuesday. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine because I had an upset with her that I had resolved, and this is not dating at all. It's just friendships. Like, had to work. I was like, we need to talk because this is not working. There's something definitely in the way here. Let's work it out. And it was like a 20, 30-minute conversation, but it was really lighthearted because we both took our responsibility for our parts in it. And at the end of it, we're back. We're like just going, we love each other too much to let that get in the way of who we are.
Oh,
And that's the thing is, for me, that's the practice I've had and getting better at over the last 15, 20 years.
yeah.
So that my friendships shine that brightly. So when I'm in a relationship, it really is easier because I've practiced it all the time.
Yes. Oh, practicing with friends is really important before you're into a romantic one, don't you think? I think it's really
Absolutely.
essential.
Yeah, indeed.
So we'll be
So
talking more about, if once you found the one, what's the rush to get into this big deal relationship forever and ever, when we come back after this break.
see you in a minute. Quick break.
And we're back. I was swallowing some water really fast. So this is Let's Talk About Dating with Christine and Barry. And today we're talking about you found the one. Now, what's the rush?
Yes.
Because it's so tempting. You know, whether you've dated a little bit and you're so excited you met somebody with potential, or you've dated a lot and it hasn't worked out, and now you found somebody with potential, to want to just rush in. And that's the other thing too, where people want to, my big thing is, I think it's really important, or it can be advantageous, to see more than one person at the same time, just for a couple of dates. Especially for women, I have found we have such a tendency to give our heart right away that if you have two people vying for your attention, it's kind of nice. It's flattering. You get a chance to compare and contrast. I wouldn't say do it for a long time, but certainly for the first couple, because it will lower your emotionality about it. It will give you a chance to go, oh, I never thought about that as something that I might want in a person that they do. Oh, I like that. Let's see if the other person does that too. Oh, the other person can't do that. I like this one better. And after a few dates, you could then say, I know this one is the one I want to concentrate on. And you can have the exclusive, monogamous dating situation conversation with them to see if they're in the mood to only date one person, because they might be dating more than one person at the same time. But that will also slow down the rush.
True.
I found it's just another possible remedy.
No, it's funny because when you said that, I was my internal positioning going like, would I enjoy that being the one of two?
I know. I watched your face as I said that.
Yeah.
And you know, being on the receiving end of that is not that, but I'd much rather be picked because they compared. And if I'm not picked, oh well, at least now I know.
But also,
because if there's something big or big enough, it's good that they figured that out, or I figured it out.
The thing that comes up for me, because there's a couple things that come up, obviously initially the feeling of like, I don't want to share. That was the thing came out initially, like, no. But when I heard that though, I want to sat with it for a second. And again, having done this work, I know enough to watch my own stuff go on.
Yeah.
The truth is that if it's not meant to be with this one, I'd rather it happen quicker than late, sooner than later. So if she finds the other person to be more appropriate, I'm okay stepping out. I may not like it, but I'm okay stepping out, just to be honest. But the other part of that also is if there is a vetting process, so to speak, and she gets clear quickly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
that this is that she wants to be with me in that conversation, that's much more healthy. But the other part as well for me, and this is part of the process, say having been single for over 15 years, I'm not attached to that person being the one right away anyway. That's one of the gifts I've had of being lonely and being alone, which can be a curse for some people, I know. But one of the gifts for me is that I enjoy my company enough that she's going to have to be pretty spectacular to add to it.
Yes.
And I'm okay saying that out loud, so to speak. And yes, the challenge for some people is because they spend so much time being alone and they're desperately looking for love. When anybody close to what they're looking for shows up, they're like putting all the eggs in my basket, get on the bus and say, this is the one, I'm going all the way in. It's like, maybe not, because you might discover that, as you were saying, that this person can't do certain things that you really do want. But you had enough of them initially to get you interested in them that you jumped in with both feet. And now you may be regretting what you've chosen.
Mm-hmm.
So taking the time is worth it, definitely, at the early stages.
So important. And what you mentioned is too, when you're have been a single for a while, but one of the downsides is you can get kind of set in your way and you're going to just find fault with everybody, which I know is not you, but it's something it's another one of those internal conversations about, is it really true that I think I don't want anybody? Because if they're spectacular, I've asked that question. They go, no. I go, then why are we talking? Why are we talking? Because I'm somebody that's going to help you date better. Well, if God sent me somebody. So I go, well, really, then you're not. So let's talk about what you're afraid of. What's been the thing that's been holding you back? because then the real conversation comes out. That
Absolutely.
they were hurt, or they were used, or they gave too much of themselves away. Well, yeah, we can do lots about all those things. You didn't know what to do about it before. I've lots of tools to help you not do that again.
Right.
So that's the other thing, that if you haven't even dated somebody that was a potential, you can get really, like, when I ride horses and I'm around horses a lot. And one of the big things they say is, if you fall off, you have to get right back on, because you
Right.
will be afraid. So
Yeah.
it's sort of like that with dating. If you've had a really bad experience, you take time to heal, you talk to somebody to work through it, and then you need to get out into the world and start spending time in groups that have the opposite sex, and that you're doing things that are fun and interesting, even if it's not dating. You're not going out with one person, you're
Right.
still being social, because I have found people are becoming sort of recluse now, especially after the pandemic, where they had to stay home, and now they're like kind of comfortable staying home, but they're very lonely, and they really are wishing somebody would show up. And I'm like, I don't think they're going to get delivered by Amazon. I really don't think so. You're going to need to leave your house. That Amazon Prime has almost everything, but I don't think a guy or a woman is going to show up.
I
So
don't think they package them that way. No.
no, I haven't seen that you can put one of those in your cart yet. It'll be interesting if they ever do. But how do you tiptoe your way back out to just
Mhm.
put yourself out there and not be too vulnerable? Oh, the right one showed up, at this very first event, and he said hello to me. I picture us married. I'm like, really? No, because
From one
that's what
word, that's
happens.
dangerous. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, actually, and that's one thing I would suggest for those people who have been locked away, so to speak, through the pandemic. I know we've been somewhat free of it for a while now, which is surprising how quickly we've got back to normal, it seems. Is if you haven't had a social life because of the pandemic, it's time to have one.
Hmm.
Because that social interaction and being out with other people, especially people of the opposite sex, even if it's not romantic, it starts to build those muscles again. Like some of the muscles may have atrophied a little bit because you've been on Zoom calls only.
Yeah.
And so going out with people socially and having drinks or dinner, or going out for coffee, or going for hikes or walks, or whatever you do, to go out and play with people, to enjoy yourself and have a good time, makes dating a lot healthier, because you don't put all your eggs in one basket idea. When you've basically been a recluse since the pandemic for months and months and months, and you go on a date, suddenly this one person is the receiver of all your bent up social yearnings and preparation. They're going to get knocked away, blown
Or
away
they're
by
equally needy, and that's not good either, because they're going to glom onto you too. Ooh.
messy. So definitely, yeah. So frankly, hopefully they've done the same thing you're doing, which is going to be go out socially and to sort of diffuse that pent up energy. So when you go out with them, you can be relaxed and present and enjoy the company without fixation or overloaded circuits that need to get fulfilled immediately, or you're going to die type thing. you
Yeah,
know?
you kind of ease into it. And I love that you had this great conversation with this friend of yours, because it's really practice. And it is, as you
Yeah,
said, it's like a muscle that you need to keep using it so that it's really fit when you go to do something that feels even bigger, like with a love interest. So the
yeah,
same thing with going out and playing, in meetups, or, volunteering, or taking a class, or joining an activity where you're just surrounding yourself with people that are interested in the same thing, just to get used to being around people again and having a face-to-face conversation rather than a conversation on Zoom or Skype or FaceTime,
right.
and practice your skills of your masculinity, your femininity, a little flirting maybe, or just asking questions that are a little more interesting than, what's your sign, and what kind of, do you like Chinese food?
Right.
Or why are you still single since you've been a dating coach? How sick are we of that question, right? I get to whine about that because you will understand.
Well, the thing for me is also is like I've got so many answers now I come up with. I can just like, which one should I choose today?
That's been part of the fun. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to get interesting with my answers
Yeah,
now, because
absolutely.
they're
Why
tired
not?
of this
Have fun with it.
boring
Yeah.
question. The 100th time, and it's, they think they're the first person to ask me this question.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Or the other one that's not as often, do you get this too? Are you trolling for clients?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's like, no, I no. The thing is I mean, the temptation is strong sometimes.
Because they would not be it.
No, but it's like, but having met people through dating apps, and when we talk, I'm going, oh, I see their issues. Oh, I see their issues. It's like,
Yeah.
but I would refer them to somebody else. I wouldn't take them on. If they found me through my site, it's one thing, but through dating apps, that's messy. So no, wouldn't do that.
Or the ones who explain to me they would never need a dating coach. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's the other part. Like, so my work's all invalidated by you now. That's great. That's really.
This is why I coach the people that ask me to coach.
Exactly.
And I only coach people that ask me and pay me.
That's exactly the way. Yeah, they're going to be invested in the work as much as I am. Yes.
That was the whining portion of our program today.
Yes. Okay. Back to normal programming.
But everybody has their stuff, and this is our stuff, so we get to whine about it a little. Okay.
Welcome to our world.
Oh yes, our woes. Oh, it's okay. I'm excited about the people who aren't intimidated by it. That makes me so happy. Tell me more. Great. I'm interested. I love that.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear more about what I do,
nice segue.
Not to go out on a date though, but more about my coaching. Did you like that segue?
It was beautifully done. Yes.
Thank you. You can go to my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com, and click on what's holding you back from love. And you can make an appointment with me to have a complimentary private conversation about why are you not finding love? What's going on that we could get to the bottom of and see if maybe I could help you. You could also send me a personal email through Christine@theperfectcatch.com. You can see all my videos with Barry and my videos alone through my Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and LinkedIn and YouTube and
Twitter.
Thank you, Barry.
And
Barry, tell people how they could talk to your wonderful self.
Indeed. So like Christine, I have a website and social media. So if you want to find out how to get in touch with me, go to my website, which is barryselby.com. In fact, all my social media, except for one, is my name. So barryselby.com is my site. And on the front of the page, you can sign up there for a discovery session. You can book one with me if you want to. That right currently is fee-based, but if you want to get one, if you want to get a discount code to get it for free, message me and let me know you're interested in having a conversation, set that up. At the bottom of the homepage, you can sign up on my email list and join my email list, so you get to watch these videos every week. And also you can get notified about things I'm doing in my world and what offers I may be offering to my audience. You can definitely watch my videos on YouTube. I have a massive library now on YouTube, so please subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Barry Selby. But you can find me on social media under Barry Selby on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, TikTok,
Clubhouse.
Say again? Oh, Clubhouse. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, but Instagram is the one that's different. Instagram is the real Barry Selby since my original account got hacked. But definitely check us out. We both offer lots of content. We both offer lots of support, and we definitely both love working with our clients. So reach out and get support if you want to navigate this lovely world of dating and relationships.
Because it is lovely.
It is.
And we will be back next week on Thursday at 1:00 Pacific and 4:00 Eastern and all the times in between with another interesting, scintillating conversation about dating and relationships. And please ask us any questions you want at the bottom of this video. Forward it to anybody that you know is having challenges in their dating life. And it's nice to pay it forward, right? And see if you could help your friends out.
Somebody you know may want to see this, so share it with them.
Yeah, they might be the rushing in too fast kind of people.
Indeed. So we'll see you next week for more wonderful content.
Bye for now.